Some people are natural leaders, others are natural empaths, and others are natural at seeming intimidating. If you're in the third field but have no idea why that's happening, then this video's for you. Welcome back, Psychos. Today, we'll be presenting you with our countdown of the top 10 signs that you have an intimidating personality. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to turn notifications on so you never miss a video. And let's get right into it, starting with number 10, unconscious bias. The first reason could be nothing more than unconscious bias. As explained by the prestigious online blog Psychology Today, racial stereotypes such as gender, sexism, anti-Semitism, racism, and many other forms of bias that might motivate others to label someone as intimidating when they actually aren't. For example, there are studies that show that women perceived as intimidating were seen as less likable and less capable than men perceived as intimidating. Racism is one of the main reasons why people subconsciously believe that others are intimidating, holding stereotypes and feeling irrational fears from something that's actually not that scary or likely imagined. When we see people as a threat to our well-being, we might actually be interpreting them as intimidating when they are friendlier than we give them credit for. This is, of course, something that can't be changed by one person and rather should be changed by society as a whole, but could explain why some people might think you're intimidating for absolutely no reason, especially if you have a naturally friendly demeanour. Number 9, you cut people off. Having a nervous habit of cutting people off mid-sentence is relatively common, but it could come across as intimidating for those who don't interpret this as a tick and take it as a threat. When we're talking about something interesting and someone interrupts us, we might feel threatened or offended by that person. However, most people who interrupt aren't actually seeking to offend and, on the contrary, might just do it unintentionally because they don't want to forget what they wanted to say and chose to blurt it out in the moment. Number 8. By following your promises. Well, isn't there anything more threatening than someone who actually follows their threats to the word? When someone makes a threat, we don't usually expect them to carry it into reality, except for those who do and end up doing exactly what they said they would. While being someone people can count on should be a good thing, many people are intimidated by the idea that you do what you said you would do. This also happens in business or personal relationships. When you loudly proclaim your goals and achievements and exactly what you did to make them reality, most people feel overwhelmed by your presence and would rather turn away. Number 7. You invade people's personal space. People's personal space is super important for them. Do you lean into the person's personal space? Note, their personal space might be larger than what you might think people would need. Yours might be relatively less. Everyone's idea of what constitutes their personal space is different. For example, you might have different boundaries than other people due to your cultural upbringing. Some people in Latino countries are very appreciative, caring, and touchy-feely, while in other countries they might act a bit more withdrawn when greeting or interacting with others. Kissing someone on the cheek when they aren't used to that might seem incredibly intimidating and a huge invasion of personal space. Unless it's a very special social circumstance or event, then most likely other people will feel intimidated even by being slightly close to them, as if their personal space was being invaded. Number 6. You're a stubborn person. A stubborn person can easily come off as intimidating to others, and there might be many subconscious cues that you might be doing that to make you come off as stubborn, and thus others interpret that as a way of intimidation. Stubborn people are afraid of change. Whether they realize it or not, they perceive new situations as threats and should be avoided at all costs. Anyone who tries to impose a change on them could be viewed as an oppressor subconsciously. On top of that, stubborn people have trouble admitting when they're wrong, and they'd rather argue than suffer a blow to their ego. Stubborn people tend to cling to past beliefs in a misguided effort to protect themselves from change too. Finally, and this ties to what we've been saying so far, stubborn people tend to lash out at those who constantly challenge their ideology. They are unable to speak with facts or figures, so they tend to resort to personal attacks. Since stubborn people tend to come off as biased somehow, they don't want to risk exposing themselves to conflicting information, as that could lead to an identity crisis later. So, do you feel identified with any of these reasons so far? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to turn on notifications for more videos like today. Number 5. You dislike small talk. Let's face it, some people dislike small talk with a burning passion, and that's completely fine. Weaving a 30-minute conversation about the weather isn't exactly very interesting for some people, and neither is pretending that this type of boring conversation is fun for anybody. If you cut off people when they attempt to initiate small talk with you, chances are that you come off as intimidating to them and their friends too. Number 4. You avoid eye contact. If you avoid eye contact constantly, there's also a high chance that people will think you're intimidating, even if you're not. That's because you're projecting a protective body language, and any body language that's closed off, such as turning away from someone or crossing your arms in a defensive posture. That will make other people feel threatened in a way, and that's something you want to avoid unless you're intentionally attempting to seem intimidating towards others. In which case, you're doing a great job. Now that we've arrived at the top 3, stay until the end of our video to learn the 3 biggest reasons why you're coming off as intimidating without knowing it. Number 3. Being assertive. Being assertive means standing up for your own or other people's rights in an understandably calm and positive way. An assertive person tends to express their feelings, their thoughts, their desires, anger, and also understand their right without fear of expressing them to others. An assertive person can come off as intimidating because they aren't afraid of speaking up when something's wrong or when they want to voice their opinion on something. Assertive people many times come off as intimidating precisely because they are very well assured of how they are and what they want. If you know what you want and aren't afraid to step up and get it, then most likely you come off as intimidating. Number 2. You're not an active listener. Active listening involves more than just hearing someone speak. Once you've practiced active listening, you become aware of everything that's being said. You listen to all your senses and give full attention to the person speaking. So, active listening involves being in the heart of the conversation. An intimidating person might come off as intimidating not because they are menacing, but because they aren't active listeners in a conversation that requires their listening. And last but not least, number 1, you're strong-willed. When you constantly demonstrate your smarts, your sassiness, your strength and resourcefulness, it's easy to seize control of a situation. Oftentimes, people feel overwhelmed by a strong personality, especially someone who knows their stuff and can't easily be swayed from their opinions. A strong will goes hand in hand with being assertive and being stubborn, and can make other people feel intimidated by your gaze or the way you say things. So, what's your thoughts on the reason why you might be coming off intimidating? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel for more videos like today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time for more.